Hello, hello. I'm happy to see you again. I'm Sharon Jackson with Early Essentials, here to talk to you about an exciting event that we have coming up really soon. The registration will be open on January 27th for our super event about building teams, working together with others, and creating the best community ever in your child care center, your school, your office. So let's dive in. The first thing we want to think about is, do you want people giving side glances in the hall as they pass one another? Do you have the problem of cliques forming at professional development meetings and other times that your group is together? Are people left out intentionally in any sort of way? Do people have a sense of impatience with new people, or maybe even with people that have been there a long time and think they know the best way to do things? All of those can be hard, especially because the early childhood field is so female dominated. We are women working with women for the most part. And you know, even for those men who are working with us, this is going to be helpful to know why women do some of the things they do and how you can work with them and collaborate and get along to create the best environment for children. Because research shows that if the adults are not satisfied with their work relationships, if the adults are not getting along, speaking kindly, taking opportunities to do kind things for one another, then the children don't learn as well and they don't learn as much. So we all want the best possible outcomes for children in our care and in our families. So thinking about how we can create the kind of environment that will foster those skills, that will foster the kind of relationships that we want our children to have and we need to have as to model for them as well. So part one that we're going to talk about today is creating connection. Creating connection is probably the best thing that we can ever do because human beings were created for connection. That eye contact, the pleasant look on someone's face, just the sense of presence is very meaningful to a relationship starting off on the right foot and continuing in the best possible way. So how do we create connection? What do we do that can create connection between people that don't even know each other? Let's think about it for a minute. How do you greet people that come into your center for the very first time as a new employee or even someone that's coming in to interview? That's an important place for everything to start. Respect and relationships from the very beginning are going to drive good connection all the way through. So showing respect by honoring the time that you said, by creating the order that needs to happen for an interview perhaps, or a tour, for offering the best possible situation, comfortable seating, water or coffee, paper for notes. All those kinds of things are small details, but they make an important early connection for people. Let's think about new employees next and the people that come in maybe without knowing another person there. So immediately, it's typically the director or the school owner, administrator that meets that person and begins the onboarding process with them. There are so many important things about onboarding. That's a whole different session. But the first thing to do is to make that person feel welcome. What can you do to make them feel welcome, not just in general, because you're so glad to have another staff member on board, but specifically and personally? Perhaps a school t-shirt, a mug that matches everyone else's, a certain cubby, a place to put their purse. The alphabetical order of sign-in is adjusted for their name, so they're not tail end at the bottom. All those kind of things can make a person immediately begin to feel welcome and like, oh, they are glad I'm here. I'm glad I'm here too. So preparing things that will give that person a very good foundational understanding of who your program is, how your program runs, the expectations that you have for staff members and for each other all throughout the program. Think about how you can do that. It's sometimes hard to think of the first few moments of a new person's employment being, here, read this and take this quiz when you're done. You know, we want to get them into the flow. We want them to see what's going on. We want them to see how much people love working here. So perhaps a tour is in order, maybe a 30-minute visit to each classroom, maybe supporting the lunch staff with service for the day. All the things that you can do to begin to build those person-to-person connections are going to be important to that person as they go forward in your program. Now, of course, policies and procedures have their place, but thinking of ways to do that in a way that's not paper and pencil, that's very individualized and gives that person the opportunity to really take it in, internalize that thinking, and understand the why that those policies and procedures are there. So creating those connections from the very beginning, so important. But once we've got our staff in place, how do we create connections among staff? Now, that's not to say that everyone has to be everyone's best friend. We don't expect that. What we do expect is kindness, respect, and an effort at relationships. So thinking about ways that we can allow people to get to know one another, maybe staff boards with a few pertinent details about each person, maybe a favorites list that you publish. Many schools do this for parents to give them an idea of how to bless their child's caregiver, but why not let that be public between all the staff members as well? You don't expect them to give each other gifts all the time, but if somebody finds something that is in the dollar aisle or on sale and it automatically brings to their mind someone that they work with, then that gives them an opportunity to make a connection themselves. So providing information is one way to help those staff make connections. Another is to provide some kind of time. Time is what is in our least, we have least of when we're working in a child care center, and we all know that. But how can you create time for people to be together? Can you ask people to come in 5 minutes before the shift starts and just have everybody stand or sit together and kind of get ready for the week? Perhaps you just do it on Monday mornings, or perhaps you do it in the afternoon when your last shift is leaving. Another thing that's inherent in childcare is day shifts and afternoon shifts. So who's together in the morning may not be together in the afternoon. So giving that afternoon staff an opportunity once the last child leaves to just draw a deep breath, say thanks for all the effort that everyone put in today or this week, and enjoy your evening, and we'll see you soon. So just the opportunity to connect as human beings, to give one another some grace and some encouragement along the way is a great way to connect your staff as well. And of course, we want to talk about connecting with families. Again, that's a different topic, but a lot of these are ways that we can either connect with families in our center or use to connect our own families. So thinking about creating those connections by being welcoming from the beginning, being very personal about how we onboard people and give opportunities, giving information that will help staff get to know one another, that will help them see one another as human beings and maybe even in a different light, and create bonds between them for things that they share. A drink at Starbucks, a television show, the kind of reading, all those kinds of things are good information to know about the people that you work with. So that is a quick overview of making connections that will keep your staff cohesive and working well together so that your center, your school, your classroom, your family, your office can have the kind of environment that will provide human connection, that will grow relationships, and that will become successful because it's built on a good foundation. Thanks so much for joining me today. Please stay tuned for part 2, which is going to be about community. So we start with connections, we'll move on to community, and then we have part 3 about collaborations. I'll be sending emails to you, and you'll be getting this information about this super exciting course that's coming in February about women working together. I look forward to seeing you there, and thanks so much for joining me today. Bye.